Why people no longer trust the media. There was a time when millions of people trusted the news without hesitation. Families gathered around televisions, newspapers shaped public opinion, and what appeared on the evening broadcast was often accepted as truth. But something has changed. Today, trust in media is collapsing across many countries, and more people than ever are beginning to question what they are being told. Headlines feel more emotional, stories feel more divisive, and information moves faster than most people can even process. Some believe the media is protecting certain narratives, while others argue that misinformation online has made truth harder to recognize. And that raises a much bigger question. Why are so many people around the world losing trust in the media? For decades, traditional media held enormous authority in society. Television networks, newspapers, and journalists acted as the primary source of information for millions of people. Because access to information was limited, audiences relied heavily on trusted institutions to explain what was happening in the world. Journalists were often viewed as gatekeepers of truth, and many people believed the news existed mainly to inform rather than persuade. During that period, trust in institutions was generally stronger, and public skepticism was far less common than it is today. Then the internet changed the entire system. Suddenly, information no longer came only from a handful of news organizations. Anyone with a phone could post videos, share opinions, or challenge mainstream narratives instantly. Social media gave people access to multiple perspectives, but it also created confusion. Instead of receiving one version of events, audiences were suddenly exposed to thousands of voices competing for attention. This created a major shift in how people consume information and changed the relationship between the public and traditional media forever. As competition for attention increased, media organizations faced new pressures. Revenue models shifted, online engagement became more important, and headlines became increasingly emotional or sensational. In a world where attention equals profit, dramatic stories often perform better than calm explanations. This led many audiences to feel that news was becoming more focused on clicks, outrage, and emotional reactions rather than balanced reporting. Over time, repeated exposure to this environment caused many people to grow skeptical of media intentions. Another major reason trust declined is the perception of bias. Many people feel that different media organizations present events through political, ideological, or financial lenses. Depending on the source, the same event can appear completely different, creating confusion about what is actually true. This inconsistency makes audiences question whether they are receiving information or simply competing narratives designed to shape perception. At the same time, social media became an alternative source of information. Many people turned to creators, influencers, and independent voices because they felt mainstream outlets no longer reflected their concerns. However, social media also introduced new problems. False information spreads rapidly, emotional content is amplified, and algorithms reward engagement rather than accuracy. As a result, audiences became trapped between distrust in traditional media and uncertainty online. The rise of artificial intelligence has introduced an entirely new challenge. AI-generated videos, manipulated voices, and realistic fake images are becoming harder to detect. During major events, misinformation can spread globally within minutes, confusing millions of people before fact-checkers even respond. This technological shift has created a disturbing reality where people are beginning to question not just the news, but reality itself. Modern audiences are exposed to more information than any generation in human history. News updates arrive constantly, social media never stops, and every platform competes for attention. While access to information sounds positive, too much information can overwhelm people and create mental exhaustion. When audiences feel overloaded, skepticism often increases because it becomes difficult to separate truth from noise. Algorithms often show people content that reinforces their existing beliefs. Over time, this creates echo chambers where audiences mainly hear perspectives they already agree with. This can deepen divisions and increase distrust toward opposing viewpoints. Instead of creating understanding, digital spaces sometimes strengthen suspicion and make compromise feel impossible. As trust declines, people begin questioning more than just media. Institutions, experts, governments, and even scientific authorities are increasingly viewed with skepticism. This shift reflects a broader psychological change where audiences feel uncertainty about who to trust. In a world filled with competing narratives, doubt becomes the default response. Modern media often relies heavily on emotional storytelling because emotion keeps audiences engaged. Fear, anger, outrage, and shock generate attention faster than neutral reporting. While emotional storytelling can be powerful, repeated exposure may leave audiences feeling manipulated or emotionally exhausted, increasing distrust over time. This loss of trust is not limited to one country. Across different regions of the world, surveys show declining confidence in media institutions. People increasingly question whether information is fully transparent or influenced by larger interests. The issue has become global, affecting politics, culture, and social stability. Some believe trust can be rebuilt through transparency, stronger journalism, and accountability. Others believe the information environment has changed too much to ever return to previous levels of confidence. Regardless of the answer, one thing is clear: the relationship between the public and media has fundamentally changed. The collapse of trust matters because information shapes how societies think, vote, and respond to global events. When trust breaks down completely, confusion can spread quickly and public division may increase. Understanding why this shift happened helps explain many of the tensions we see in the world today. So perhaps the biggest challenge of the modern era is not simply finding information, but learning how to navigate it wisely. In a world filled with endless opinions, emotional headlines, algorithms, and AI-generated content, trust has become more fragile than ever. And maybe the real question is no longer whether the media can be trusted, but how we learn to recognize truth in a world overflowing with no's.